Good afternoon and welcome to the Plymouth COVID-19 Daily Update. This is number 15 and we'd like to welcome all of you. I'm Steve Triffletti, your Plymouth Town Moderator, and we'll be here each day, Monday through Saturday, for this noon update. This forum is brought to you live by PAC TV on Comcast, channels 13 and 15, and Verizon, channels 43 and 47. You can also watch this on PAC TV's streaming channel by going to pactv.org/live. For questions during today's forum, please email them to us at plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And these forums can also be replayed at pactv.org/Plymouth. Now, today we have a number of participants who will join Selectman Chair Ken Tavares and Plymouth State Representative Matthew Muratore. We also have another Plymouth State Representative, Kathleen LaNatra. We're also joined by Rabbi Lawrence Silverman and Stephen Cole, who is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Education Economic Development Foundation. And now each day we begin with the chair of our Board of Selectmen, Kenneth Tavares, for his opening remarks. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, Steve. During the past programs that we have done, we have been asked questions, but today I'm going to reverse the table a little bit and ask you a question. On all things Plymouth, there was a very interesting question that was poised that is worth repeating. And it goes as follows. If public health called tomorrow and told you that you had tested positive for COVID-19 and asked you to list all the places you had been and all the people you had come in contact with for the last 10 days, would you be proud of yourself or embarrassed by your actions? That's the question for the day today. Honestly answer the question, and if you need to make adjustments, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you, and that is Kenneth Tavares. He is chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen. We're now going to go and welcome Kathleen LaNatra. She is a state representative for the town of Plymouth as well as other towns. Kathy, people sometimes forget that you also represent the town of Plymouth. I happen to know that you represent my daughter and her fiance, but tell us what part of Plymouth you represent and what are some of the things that you've been doing since things have changed as a result of the response to the coronavirus.
Hi, Steve. Thanks. I represent precincts 1, 11, and 13 in Plymouth. That is North and West Plymouth. Plymouth is such a huge town. We all know that. So I'm sure that people sometimes forget that I have that North and West part of Plymouth. It has been a roller coaster, I must say. I am fielding calls daily. I have been feeding some of the seniors in my district that are unable to get out, that live in lower income housing, helping people with their unemployment, helping my small businesses navigate the resources that we have available for them. It has been, I would say, almost 24/7 job. Wouldn't you say that, Matt? But I see, there's hope at the end of the tunnel. I really hope that we all stay in like we're supposed to and we can flatten that curve. I have been affected through my neighborhood and through the town with people that have contacted other people with corona and now are testing positive. I'm worried about our first responders. I'm worried that they don't have enough PPE. And going with that, working with them, trying to get as much as we can. People have donated. People have neighbors helping neighbors. People have donated to our first responders. They've donated to DID. So it's good to see things like that happening.
Thank you. That's State Representative Kathleen LaNatra, and she'll be staying with us to take your questions, which you can send to us at plymouthinfo@pactv.org. Next, we welcome Rabbi Lawrence Silverman. Lawrence, you've been a member of our Plymouth faith community for a long time. What can you tell us that you've been doing and your synagogue has been doing in response to the coronavirus? And welcome.
Thank you very much, Steve, for inviting me to be here. Hello. How are all of you? I would pray for you to be well if prayer you need. As for myself, I am fine. I'm still recovering from the effects of major surgery and quarantined at home. 4 weeks ago, our congregation's two presidents, we have two, informed our community that because of the coronavirus, for safety's sake, we would close down our synagogue for all events, including services, religious school, meetings, breakfasts, all kinds of events. Since then, I've had to find other means to be in touch with our community. Bat mitzvah students, and I say bat mitzvah rather than bar mitzvah, because all of this year's students are girls. My bat mitzvah students and I set up telephone appointments, and my Torah study group has done the same thing. This past Sunday, thanks to one of our members, Diane Bluestein, I was able to produce a program of songs and a story for Passover, and most of our students attended. We used Zoom for that programming, and we plan to use this meeting format again this coming Sunday for another period of stories and songs, and tomorrow night and the next Friday night when we will be conducting services for welcoming the Sabbath. I also spend more of my time on the telephone and writing letters that go into paper envelopes to be mailed to a number of our members whom under normal circumstances I would be visiting. It's a real hardship for families when they learn that when a family member is in a nursing home or an assisted living or in the hospital, that no visits are allowed. Often I have found a letter has more value than a phone call and more value than an email, because a letter can be picked up and read again and again. We were going to have a community Seder for Passover next week, and that has been canceled. And the facility which we were to use itself has closed down because of present circumstances. I miss the people I cannot personally visit, and I hope that all who are able will be able to have their own Seder at home. We are very fortunate, as far as I know, that none of our members have tested positive for COVID-19. Our prayers go to those in the hospital and those who have tested positive throughout our land. And when we say prayers for healing, we include all of them in our services. Thanks once again for inviting me in today.
Thank you. That is Rabbi Lawrence Silverman. He'll be staying with us. If you have questions for any of the members of our panel today, please email us at plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And now we're going to go to Stephen Cole. He's the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Nice to have you. Nice to be back. Thanks for having me. Just going to give a quick update to the gift card program that we announced last time I appeared on the show. We're going to continue to receive email nominations or entries up until April 9th. We'll have the drawing on Friday, Good Friday, April 10th. And we hope to inform folks at least over the course of the weekend so that by Monday, everyone should know whether or not they have won. We're giving away 550 plus gift cards to over 50 businesses in Plymouth. All you have to do is be a Plymouth resident, send an email to me, stephen.cole@plymouth-ma.biz. I'm glad to repeat that later in the broadcast. Include your name, your address, your email address, and your telephone number. Ed Santos, who's a member of our board, well known in the community, and also our treasurer, he and I will be meeting on Friday to draw the winners.
Thank you. Stephen Cole. He is the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. It's quite a mouthful, Matt. We're now going to be going to Plymouth State Representative Matthew Muratore for his daily State of the State presentation. Welcome, Matt.
Sorry, Steve. One of my kids just walked in. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, with Kathy on today, I really want to give a great shout out to Kathy LaNatra, the representative. We got a call yesterday from Gary Maestas, the superintendent of schools in Plymouth, in desperate need of about 4,000 plastic bags with handles on them. And the reason they needed them is because they have so much food to give to the students. They were running out of bags and didn't have enough. They had the food, but no bags. I made one call to Kathy LaNatra, and she called Cisco. And Cisco was able to come up with not 4,000 bags, but they came up with 7,000 bags and more if it's needed. So big shout out to Kathy and to Cisco for helping out the students that are in need of food here in Plymouth. So thank you, Kathy, for that. To start with the numbers today, these numbers are as of 24 hours ago, as of April 1st, 12:30 p.m. Total number of people tested in the Commonwealth is 51,738. The total tested positive for the coronavirus, 738, with 682 hospitalized. Unfortunately, there have been 122 deaths, and all but 3 of those deaths are folks that are over the age of 60 years old. In Plymouth County, there are 561 positive cases. In the town of Plymouth, there are 31 cases. 16 have been completely monitored and are off. You may have all saw the news this morning, but you have a big congratulations to the Kraft family and to Governor Baker for working together over the last week or so on obtaining 1 million N95 masks for medical providers. This is a huge win for the Commonwealth to get these. They are, as we speak, they are being delivered by Guard to various hospitals that are in need of them. So we thank the governor and the Kraft for coming up with 1 million N95 masks. The governor, I think the governor will be on at 1 o'clock today to give us all an update. Reminder from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Any registrations that are due, whether it's your plates, your car registrations, or your motor vehicles that need to be inspected, those are all being delayed by 60 days from the date of your sticker. And if you have motorcycles, those are extended to June 30th as well. And if you have renewal inspections, renewal registrations, you can go on the mass.gov RMV website to do that right online. The unemployment numbers came out today. And last week, we talked about 148,457 filed for unemployment the week before. The numbers that came up today for week ending March 28th, the numbers went up another 181,062 filed for unemployment week ending again March 28th. And Massachusetts is one of the top 5 in the country for unemployment at this point. The federal stimulus package is now starting to go into effect, particularly for small business owners. So if you're a small business owner, you want to be able to check that out with your CPA and with your bank today and tomorrow to find out what you need to do to help with relief from your small business, and particularly with your employees who you may have to put on unemployment or who you may already have on unemployment. Definitely worth checking that out. In addition to the stimulus package, the checks that were going to be coming out should be out within the next week or two. Those are folks who have combined income of $150,000 or less. $198,000 or less, or 99,000 individuals. Those checks will be direct deposit within the next week or two, and or checks in the mail if you don't have direct deposit. Yesterday, and today it actually opened, the Field Medical Station has opened at the DCU Center. This will be for 200 beds. This is for low acuity needs. The command center through the governor and the Secretary Sutters are working on plans throughout the Commonwealth to be adding additional field medical stations throughout the Commonwealth. So more will be popping up. I know in Boston they are looking at the convention center, but every corner of the Commonwealth they'll be looking at for where these command centers, where these field medical stations can be put together. With that, they are looking for people who are in the medical field who have retired to come out of retirement, to work, to volunteer, to help man a lot of these stations. We are in the third stage right now over the next week or two, the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it's important to get ahead of this and have these field medical stations set up. But we need people to volunteer. So if you can volunteer, please reach out by going to mass.gov COVID-19, and you'll find a place where you can sign up to volunteer or get back to work and get help people out. Once again, blood donation we are in severe need of blood throughout the nation, but particularly in the Commonwealth. So if you can, please give blood. If you are able to have a business that can have a blood mobile drive, please do so. It's being done in a safe manner. Shout out to the Moose Lodge here in Plymouth. They had a very successful blood drive yesterday. We thank them for actually doing that. So if you have a place that you can have a blood drive, please go to redcross.org and talk to them about getting a blood drive sooner than later. And finally, the nursing homes and rest homes, because of the tragedy that's happened at the Holyoke Soldiers Home, on-site testing for residents and staff is beginning as pilot programs with the National Guard. So every resident is going through the process of being tested so that we know we're going to have more deaths in nursing homes. We talked about that before. But if we can lessen the amount by getting as many folks tested as possible, the better off we will be in the long run. And that is the update for today.
Thank you. This is the Plymouth COVID-19 update number 15. It's coming to you live on Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. We ask you to send your questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. We have a number of participants here today, and we do this each and every day, Monday through Saturday, in order to try to provide verified information from officials and experts from the Plymouth community. I'd like to again announce today that yesterday, following the governor's advisory that was received earlier this week, I made a second declaration of recess and continuance of the annual and special town meetings to May 30, 2020 at 8 a.m. at Plymouth North High School, and this was based upon the continuing public health and safety emergency that currently is affecting Plymouth and the Commonwealth. And we gave notice both to the town as well as to the Attorney General. This was done after careful and considerable deliberation about the implications of the rapid spread of the disease, the present lack of containment, and the risk to vulnerable populations inherent in public gatherings at this time. And so a delay, we hope, will avoid forcing voters to choose between participating in town meetings and managing their safety and health in a manner that's most appropriate for them. We'll continue to review this as we continue to receive updated advisories from both the state as well as from the CDC at the federal level. We're going to be going to our question and answer shortly. It's at plymouthinfo@pactv.org for your questions. We have a number of questions. First, I'd like to mention that we have a lineup tomorrow that includes, once again, Ken Tavares and Matt Muratore. Also, we heard earlier about Dr. Maestas in the public schools providing food to families. Tomorrow we're going to welcome Dr. Christopher Campbell. He is an assistant superintendent for the Plymouth Public Schools, and he's going to be talking about the new online curriculum that's being rolled out on Monday. We also have, once again, Town Clerk Lawrence Pizer. He's again going to try to answer questions related to voting in Plymouth. The Plymouth Board of Health will be represented by member Dr. Barry Potvin. We'll have Amy Naples once again, Executive Director from the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. And we'd like to go to our question and answers. The first question actually is going to go to Representative Matthew Muratore. And Matt, we've been having some questions today about what is the story about the picture to the left side of you on the screen? It changes every day.
Yeah, I guess when you stay at home, as long as we are staying at home, you try to mix things up a little bit and do some different things. And I was getting emails and texts from folks early on when we started this 14, 15 days ago, Steve, that everyone else had these nice backgrounds and I had this blank wall. So I decided to start putting my kids' artwork up that they're doing, family photos and other photos. So every day, every other day, we'll start seeing some different photos or pictures up there. But just trying to have fun with it. And I have to say, Steve, while you bring that up, in a lot of ways, we live such a fast life nowadays that this is somewhat of a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways, that we are able to spend so much more time, with our loved ones. As you know, I got 6 kids, and just seeing them all the time, it's just great to just be with them and be around them a lot. I think it's going to be hard actually to get back to normal life whenever that is. But I'm just cherishing the time I have with them.
Thank you. Now a more serious question while we have Matt. Matt, you mentioned about registration renewal being extended or inspections. You didn't mention about licenses. Are license renewals being extended, or do people have to go ahead? One viewer has a birthday on May 1st and is concerned about whether or not he has to go now for his license renewal, which expires on May 1st.
Let me get back to you on that, Steve. I'll get that answered. But I believe, though, if you can't do it online, it will be extended. But let me double check that and get back on that.
Thank you. Our next question, I'm going to start with Steve Cole, but any of you can chime in. It has to do with confusion about all of the various programs that are now available. We're going to call up the U.S. Treasury website, but the question is, how do we distinguish between the PPP loan, which is the Paycheck Protection Plan, as compared to unemployment, as compared to disaster recovery loans? So Stephen Cole, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, as Matt said, I think a lot of those details are still kind of coming out from the feds. We should learn more today. I've been working closely with our federal partners, both at the SBA and the EDA regularly. Some of this stuff is still a little anomalous to them also. The fact of the matter is this money doesn't exist yet, right? We don't have $2.2 trillion just sitting around. That money has to be created, fabricated, dispersed, disseminated, and end up in the hands of the right federal authorities. So, I mean, there's some mysticism right now, perhaps. We are going to be available to any business who is looking to have any kind of assistance through these programs. We're going to learn just as well as you, and we're eager to help. So if you have any questions, if you're a small business owner, you want to know which program you fit into or which program is best for you, please feel free to reach out to the foundation. I'll be very glad to assist with that.
Thank you. And that's Stephen Cole. He's the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. We've also been in contact with Representative Matt Muratore. He has his hand up. This is not a debate. Matt, continue.
Trying to get your attention, Steve. So just to add to what Stephen is saying, for businesses, we are encouraging people to reach out to your accountant or CPA and your bank as well to further understand these programs. As we had Heather Cosby on yesterday, local CPA person in our community, they're learning as they're going. They have a good handle on all this information that's coming. So you really want to be able to reach out to them. One other thing, Steve, just to get that answer, Betty DeBenedictis, who is my terrific legislative director, watches every day as a requirement of the job. He actually sent me the information on driver's license IDs and learner's permits, including commercial license and permits that have expired or are expiring between March 1st and April 30th. You have had 60-day extension applied to the current expiration date and do not need to renew at this time. does not apply to customers whose end of stay in the United States is the same as the expiration, blah, blah, blah. So the person that has a May 1st, now that the extension has gone through May 4th, I think it's safe to say that that extension will go probably beyond till at least June 1st or July 1st.
Thank you. And that's Plymouth Representative Matthew Muratore. As you may have gathered from watching these daily updates, we're doing this remotely. Everyone who is participating today is Zooming in to the studio. I'm here alone in the studio, so we're communicating by text, by email. I have my iPad here, and by, as you saw, Matt raising his hand so that we get all the information to you. The Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Plymouth has been in contact with us. They've been providing us with weekly updates, and they remind us that if you're experiencing any of the COVID-19 symptoms, which would include fever, sore throat, nasal congestion, shortness of breath, or a headache, or if you've traveled to any of the countries listed on the CDC's travel warnings, or if you've been in contact with someone who's been diagnosed with COVID-19, please contact your primary care provider prior to visiting a healthcare facility, and your provider will determine the appropriate steps for you to take, which may be to stay home to reduce the possibility of spreading the disease to others. You can also call the Mass Department of Public Health by calling 211. Your questions can come to us at PlymouthInfo@pactv.org. I'd also like to announce that next Monday, following our update at 12 noon, we'll be doing a regional update, joined once again by Representative Matthew Muratore, Kathleen LaNatra, and also Josh Cutler. And they'll be joined by primary care physician Phil Triffletti, who happens to be my brother. We'll also be welcoming back our infectious disease local residents, Dr. Mark Wilson. Also be welcoming back psychologist Dr. Russell Fry, and also Father Cullity from the St. Mary's Church. So that'll be another opportunity to get quite a bit of information looking at it from the southeastern Mass region, and we'll be providing quite a bit of medical information. The next question that we have has to do with mortgages, and specifically with forbearance or deferral. And I'm going to take the beginning of this question to just say that in my experience wearing another hat as a local attorney, we have a number of people who have taken the initiative to contact their mortgage lender, their mortgagee, in order to determine what relief would be available. And we've seen a variety of responses. We've seen one local lender that actually was waiving principal and interest and only requiring the escrow to be paid, with the principal and interest being put at the end of the mortgage. We have another lender who's reduced the interest rate on the mortgage to 1% for several months. Some of them are 3 months, some of them are 4 months. And we've had a commercial lender that also provided for no principal and just the interest to be paid. So there's a variety of responses, but it's up to each individual mortgagor or borrower to contact the lender, the bank, or whatever form the lender is, and it would be appropriate to do that now and not to wait. Many people who have payments due on April 1, you have a grace period until maybe the 15th or 16th. So that would be on forbearance or deferral. In addition, we have a question as to a school update on the online learning. How's it going? We're going to hold that question until tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to have Dr. Christopher Campbell, and he's specifically going to talk to us about that. So we're going to hold that question till tomorrow. But again, one of the questions that we had yesterday, I want to go back to Ken Tavares, see if there's any update either from Ken or from Matt regarding the tax bills. That's a continued question that we get for people on their real estate tax bills. Ken, do you want to try to field that, or you want us to go to Matt?
Well, I asked Matt that question today. So, and he just said that we still don't have anything back yet, but we should very shortly. Matt, is it?
Yes.
Tell the truth?
Yeah,
Matt
yeah. It's
Muratore.
actually it's gone through the Senate now. Now it's coming back to the House, hopefully today. And we're hoping, Kathy and I are hoping that it will go through tomorrow and get the governor's desk. So that's the hope. In that too, just by the way, in that municipal bill that we're talking about also has some language there about having restaurants open for alcoholic beverages as a takeout as well. So I know some restaurants that are done a little bit and actually are offering that now, but that hasn't been signed into law yet by the governor. So I caution people to hold off on that at this point. But we hope to see that by tomorrow.
Thank you. Again, you can send your questions to plymouthinfo@pactv.org. And each day we go back through our panel. But first, the next viewer question is a comment. The tourism industry will obviously suffer greatly. What is being done? I'm going to first go to Stephen Cole, who is our executive director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. Steve, what about tourism?
Sure. Well, we have excellent staff who are working in the tourism industry, namely Lee Filson and her team. Economic development is naturally a part of that, but it is a very specific industry that folks like Lee work in. I know Matt and Ken are particularly involved with the P400, and frankly, it's just one of the industries that we follow. And there's a lot of businesses in town that are dependent on the tourism industry to be successful. We're going to rebound. I mean, I've said this a couple of times being in the program. It's probably easier to hear than it is to believe sometimes. But one of the things that are about this community particularly that puts us in a better position than any other community, our businesses survive partly because in a tourism community, 9 months out of the year, our residents support each other. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing a lot of outpouring of support, especially with this gift card program I mentioned a little while ago. No one is just sending in their name. They're all commenting in meaningful ways about the types of businesses that they like to that they go to. We're all impacted, of course, also when we walk down the street or drive down the street and we see vacancies or shuttered buildings. We're going to see a rebound. I'm sure of that. Plymouth is in a better position than most places I've ever worked or lived to be able to recover. But with so far as the tourism stuff, I mean, we have an amazing team of folks who are working in the tourism industry to make sure Plymouth is at the forefront of any visitor's mind. And with that, I'll defer to Ken and Matt if they want to add anything. But my sense is that our business community is strong. There's lots of reasons to visit Plymouth.
I want to read the prompter again.
So please keep Plymouth in your minds. We're coming back from this.
Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, you also wear the hat for Plymouth 400th. Anything you want to add about tourism?
Yes, we are gathering information, and we'll be meeting with a larger group of tourism people tomorrow to plan next steps for Plymouth 400. There are a number of options. We're weighing them all very carefully, and we want to maximize in a safe way the development that we can bring to Plymouth through tourism with the 400. There will be changes, but we're very confident that we're going to still be able to commemorate the 400th anniversary in a very meaningful way.
Thank you. And with respect to tourism, Matthew Muratore, Plymouth State Rep.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, I'm the ranking minority member on the Joint Committee for Tourism on the state, and we had a meeting remotely on Tuesday of this week, and the numbers are staggering. The loss is in the billions for the country, and will be very staggering here. As you know, tourism is number 3 industry in Massachusetts, but that's really in danger at this point. Even when we do get back to normal, it's going to be a little difficult this year to get back to the numbers that we're used to here in the town of Plymouth. So as the chairman said, I contacted him as well as Lee Filson, who is the executive director of Sea Plymouth, who oversees our regional tourism council for Plymouth and the Plymouth County, to see if we could get a meeting together sooner than later. And Lee's been able to pull that together for this coming Friday. Where the chairman and myself and Lee, with some other folks, Michelle Pecoraro and Terry Murray and a couple other people, will get together and kind of talk about, how do we revamp tourism here in the town of Plymouth going forward, knowing what's happening now knowing what's going to happen later this year, and really using the Plymouth 400 as really our anchor to really get people back into this community again for tourism. So we do have a unique opportunity with the Plymouth 400 to do that. The timing is what we're going to need to talk about. But I must say, and I think the chairman will agree, having Lee Filson actually lead this for us is a blessing that she's actually here. We all love Paul Cripps. Paul Cripps was, a great guy, good friend of all of ours. But having Lee come to this community now, who's somebody who led tourism in New Orleans during Katrina and that disaster. We know what happened with tourism there, and she was able to lead it back. So she's been through a crisis before with tourism. She's got some ideas, and with her, with the other folks that I talked about sitting around the table and working with Mott, the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism, along with Kathy LaNatra, we will come up with plans that we'll be able to rebound.
Thank you. This forum is being brought to you live by PAC TV. We're on Comcast channels 13 and 15 and Verizon channels 43 and 47. You can also watch this on PAC TV's streaming channel by going to pactv.org/live. For questions during today's forum, we ask you email us at plymouthinfo@pactv.org. These forums can be replayed at pactv.org/Plymouth. And now we're going to go back to all of the participants. You've all had a chance to hear the questions from our viewers. You've heard each other. And we'd like to hear from you one more time for any additional thoughts and what would be a takeaway message you'd want our viewers to remember from today's presentation. We're going to start with, again, Plymouth State Representative Kathleen LaNatra. Kathleen.
Thanks, Steve. The most important part I want to just stress here is look out for your neighbors, look out for your seniors. Please be in contact with them. Thank you, Rabbi, for mentioning letters. I didn't even think of letters. I think FaceTiming, I do it with my parents, my children do it with their grandparents. I think it's important because one of the big things we don't want is people to isolate. And that's one of a big sign of depression is when you isolate yourself. And we have many seniors that live by themselves. So please contact them. And there is hope. There is hope. We're working as hard as we can. Matt and I are working as hard as we can. We're answering questions, trying to get the resources that you need, gathering all the information on an hourly basis and bringing that out. So always feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or if you need help navigating the unemployment or a small business loan, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. That is Plymouth Representative Kathleen LaNatra. And we're next going to go to our next participant. Every day we always learn something. We always get some new suggestions, and certainly that suggestion to send letters. We know that letters, once they're received, can be set aside for a while to make sure that they're safe, but eventually they can be read and opened. And Rabbi Lawrence Silverman, thank you for that observation. What else would you like to say to our viewers?
It's good to go out for a walk every day if you can. You'll keep your distance from people out walking who are going to respect your space as well. We find this is true in our neighborhood. The only ones who walk very close to the person accompanying them are usually the dogs. People go out walking their dogs, and the dogs are, for what reason we don't know, immune, and we are vulnerable. People will sometimes stop and ask how we're doing, and we tell them we're doing fine, and we keep our distance, and everyone seems to understand that. It's a community of people keeping you at more than arm's length and respecting your space as you respect theirs. The fresh air is good. So that's something else I would add.
Thank you. And that is from Rabbi Lawrence Silverman from Plymouth. This time we're going to go back to Stephen Cole. He's the Executive Director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. Steve.
I just want to mention that we're in constant contact with our Economic Development Administration representatives. Excuse me. There's no shortage of opportunities, I think, that are coming down the pike soon and that Plymouth can benefit from. More than just gift cards, more than just traditional economic development and small business assistance. We're working with our federal partners to help attract some federal investment to help support the entrepreneurial community. that's percolating, of course. We haven't seen very much with a 2.8% unemployment in terms of new businesses launch, but I think that the types of problems that folks have been exposed to as a result of this could very well cause a bit of a catalyst for entrepreneurial activity. So more than just the traditional stuff, we're looking at our federal partners to attract additional resources so that we can position ourselves for the new economy.
Thank you. That was Stephen Cole. He's the executive director for the Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. And each day we return back to Plymouth State Representative Matthew Muratore, who will give us his State of the State closing statement. Matt.
Yes, Steve. Before I do that, Kathy and I just got an update from the governor's office in looking at his press conference that's coming up at 1. He's actually going to be announcing the closure of all coastal beach parking areas as of noontime tomorrow. Again, trying to get people so as not to congregate together. So that will be out say at 1 o'clock, and that will happen tomorrow at noontime, April 3rd. Again, just in closing, there's resources out there, as Representative LaNatra said. You can reach out to either one of us. We're easy accessible, and we have been. Our staff is still working around the clock, 7 days a week, as well as we are. So whatever needs you have, reach out to us. Also, the 211, the texting 888-777, texting COVID MA, mass.gov/COVID-19. Those are the best resources to get your information. But most of all, as I say every day, stay home, stay calm, stay informed. The more we come together by staying apart, the faster we will get back to the people we love and the things we love to do the most. So thank you again to PAC TV, to you, Steve, and to all the essential workers out there, whether you work in healthcare, banks, daycares, whatever it is. Thank you for what you're all doing to keep us all safe over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you. That is Plymouth Representative Matt Muratore. And as Matt said, we know that all of our viewers are getting all kinds of information every day. It's ever changing. Our goal is to help you with that information. We know you're getting it from the town of Plymouth, you're getting it from the state, you're getting it from the federal government, and we strive to provide you with answers to some of the questions that you have. And if we don't have the answers, we'll get the answers. On Saturday, we'll be having a representative from Congressman Keating's office who will be representing some information at the federal level. But at this time, we're going to go back with the closing statement from our chair of the Plymouth Board of Selectmen, Ken Tavares.
Thank you, Steve. As a community, we are functioning. It's a little bit different, but on a daily basis, the government is still up and working. And that's because we have so much cooperation from not only our town staff, but everyone in this community. I know you're trying very, very hard to do the right things. And I think in time, it's going to prove to be very valuable that we will flatten that curve. It is going to happen. I want to just close with the rabbi gave a wonderful suggestion of writing letters. I found something on our street this week that was extremely interesting. I went outside, and about half the street had art on it, right on the middle of the road, done by two of the teenagers in our neighborhood that drew beautiful flowers, had beautiful sayings and words on the street. And it was, it put a smile on the faces of many people in the neighborhood that they took the time to say things are going to get better, and they are. Keep doing what you're doing, and we will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. That is Plymouth Selectman Chair Kenneth Tavares. He's joined by Plymouth State Representatives Kathleen LaNatra and Matthew Muratore, also Rabbi Lawrence Silverman, and Stephen Cole, the Executive Director, Plymouth Regional Economic Development Foundation. One of the purposes of these daily updates is to also demonstrate to all of you that your officials are in communication with one another. As you've seen, the town officials are in contact with the state officials, our state legislators. They're in contact with the governor. We're in contact with federal officials, and we're in contact with community leaders such as Rabbi Lawrence Silverman, who joined us today, as well as Stephen Cole. Joining us tomorrow, Ken Tavares and Matt Muratore and I will welcome Dr. Christopher Campbell. He's the Assistant Superintendent, Plymouth Public Schools. He's going to talk about the new online curriculum that's being rolled out on Monday. Also, once again, Town Clerk Lawrence Pizer will talk to us about voting. And Dr. Barry Potvin from the Plymouth Board of Health will once again be talking about Board of Health suggestions that they have for us. And our daily business update will be provided by Amy Naples, the Executive Director for the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. This completes our 15th update for April 2nd, 2020. My name is Steve Triffletti, Plymouth Town Moderator. Thank you for joining us and good day.